No pensé.
All right, we're live.
Good morning. It is cold. Muy
frío.
Muy frío. Say it. Muy frío.
Muy frío.
Shrinking. The water was cold.
Today he really misses California.
Oh yeah, man, I could use some sunshine.
I sure don't miss Texas at all. Because if I go out there and it's this cold, I'll be cracked. Like literally cracked. Well, welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm not reading my notes this morning.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for allowing us to be again on live, sharing this video. Go ahead and share with your people. Let's call one of our hostess and dueño de la casa. The homeowner of this house. The Christian.
The Eskimo in chief, right? You're gonna bundle up. So
we're all dressed.
Freeze.
Yeah, it's cold outside.
It is.
Cold. It's miserable cold.
What was that song that we said
Lord.
was from Honey, It's Cold Outside?
It is cold, yeah.
Oh, that's an
The
appropriate
very-
song for today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super rapey. But yeah, I mean, the Women's March is coming up this weekend. We have the Roe v. Wade anniversary today. So we have something going on in Uptown.
It's here.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. It resurfaced. There's a conspiracy theory on that one, all right. I mean, like.
I know Jenny can't wait to walk out of this show and go up there.
Yeah, I'm so excited to stand in the cold on Trade and Try On today. I'm super pumped.
That shows your dedication to the cause. So you can prove your dedication to the cause.
Well, perfect
Yes.
timing. Alexa, stop.
The cold
All
has
right.
frozen our brains.
Welcome.
Alexa,
help us.
You were gonna turn her off.
She
there.
did it before you
Exactly.
called.
Welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. Today is January the 22nd. It is cold here in
And
Charlotte.
I'm sorry we started a little
Just a tiny
late.
Hey,
It's Riz's fault.
it was either started a little late.
Or the clock froze.
Yes, it's either started a little late, or we were going to broadcast live from Trade and Try On,
Big mistake.
but we decided against it.
Yeah.
So
We didn't want to freeze the
and
new
we'll
camera.
talk. Yeah,
That's right.
and we'll talk about why we were
And
going to
see,
do that.
us women didn't want to.
It was all for technical reasons.
Exactly.
Sure,
It was
they're the
technical.
crybabies
Didn't
being
wanna
cold
break our-
butts.
Break our new equipment.
Well,
No, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I really was not pumped about broadcasting from
No.
there. It's
So you
super
could be the
cold.
one-
We'll be
Like,
frozen. We'll be like,
You don't know me
then-
that well. I do not like cold.
Okay.
Just to go on the record,
Yeah.
in case anybody says that I'm a cold wimp, yes I am. I hate cold. That's why I live in the South. It's not because I enjoy Southern hospitality. It's traditionally because it's a little warmer here than New
That's
York
true.
or Michigan.
And this is so we have relatively mild winters here, which
Yes,
is why
we
people
do.
from
Because
the
of
north
climate
come down.
change.
That's
and you
right.
know, I feel bad for.
Mhm.
I have a lot of relatives in Chicago, and
Ooh.
this morning I was listening to the news saying that they're doing warning for the lizard iguanas in Florida. You know, they have like little notes
the
saying,
iguanas are falling
"Yeah,
down.
grab them from the tail." Well, this lady posted and said, "Y'all are whining for a little bit of cold. Look here in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, this is cold."
So they're eating iguana
No.
pops
No.
in Florida?
Okay.
Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, save that thought, because that is a funny topic. we're
Yes,
gonna
they
talk about.
they're posting little notes.
Hold on.
Okay.
Save it.
Save it. Okay.
Okay.
Save about yours. Save about yours. Okay. Welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. Today is January 22nd, and we want to welcome all of you who are watching us on Facebook Live and those who watch us on Facebook Live later and on YouTube. We are very excited that it's finally getting cold here, as you can probably tell. We are going through some climate changes here in Charlotte, North Carolina. The freeze date used to be, I think, March 20-something. Now it's actually getting like earlier and earlier, which means it's getting warmer, which is really changing. I know we're going to do a show one day about climate. We keep saying we're doing a show about climate change.
Sure.
'Cause we want to hear his perspective. The market will hear it. The market. Anyway, so
Market
welcome.
forces.
Before we get too political, if we even get political today, let's let's salute to Coffee and Pan Dulce. Yeah, Ruth's coffee is nice and warm.
My coffee's probably cold.
Well, that's what happens when you're late.
Manolo's Bakery
Delicious. Thank you.
on Central Avenue. Visit Manolo's Bakery. Once again, you still have a lot of time to order your King's Cake for Mardi Gras. And you still tamales and all kinds of wonderful stuff. So please help yourself, everybody. Today we do have Manolo's, but we also have banana nut bread, all kinds of stuff. So please help yourself. Now, we don't have any specific thing to talk about. We do want to mention the Women's March. So let's not spend a lot of time on that because that's more just an event. I figure if they wanted to talk about it, they could have showed up. So,
Thank you.
But to be fair, I mean, most of the
right.
Women's March people, the organizers, except for me, are probably down there by now.
Yeah.
Or parking.
Or parking, or having a lot of fun.
You're talking about another event. We're talking about the Women's March for this weekend. You're talking about...
But it's the same people. It's the same people. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, today's the Planned Parenthood.
It's the anniversary of Roe v. Wade.
Okay.
January 22nd.
January 22nd.
That's right.
Okay.
And so we have an event that actually is
today.
about to start in about 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
at Trade and Try On, and it's 4 different women's groups, advocacy groups that are in each corner of Trade and Try On, and celebrating and commemorating the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Which really ties in with the Women's March. I mean, the Women's March, began in 2017 as a response to having a president take office that has a very bad history with women in so many different ways, between his unscrupulous behavior during, the Miss Universe pageants and the behaviors behind the scenes that so many women have now come forward and said, yeah, he groped me too, and then his self-admitted assaulting women with the Billy Bush thing, and I mean, it was caught on tape. I mean, like, you could hear him say that, and now he's taking and representing 52% of the population, which is women. I mean, the fact that he can affect policy in Health and Human Services with the all the different departments. There's so many things that affect women. Violence, climate change disproportionately affect women more. When you make less money, when you have less power in society, and then those really brutal things happen to you, it pushes you down further.
I'm going to interrupt you only because we're completely off today. And I apologize. It's my fault because I was I admit, I stayed up till like 2 in the morning watching the impeachment. Movie. No, I was watching the impeachment. The impeachment didn't stop until like 2 in the morning, and we don't even have to talk about
seen Trump this morning early, around 6 in the morning, doing a live.
He's in Switzerland at an economic event talking about
our jobs and how it raised.
And they're all
thanks to me.
So I forgot. We're gonna go over in 30 seconds. Let's try to keep it short. Introduce yourself. Tell us what button. So we're gonna catch up. Right, because you're always right.
Well, I did not wear any buttons today because the cold kept them in my car. But I normally wear my now board member button. I normally wear my Tara Long button. Hope to see her today. I know I'll see her on Saturday. And I also wear the Too Woke to Smoke and my impeachment button because I do believe that we need to hold the president accountable.
Excellent. Okay.
Great. Ruth Perez here. I'm still frozen. Good morning. Good morning. I for some reason all the buttons got frozen also. But mine is always gun sense. I stand fairly good with Moms on Demand. I do support Tara Long. I usually carry my button on that one as well. I do agree with impeachment, even though I don't have a little.
You want mine?
Even though I don't have
the little peach,
the 2 butts.
Yeah.
But
the Gaffney.
Yeah, the Gaffney.
Yes. Okay. Anybody who knows that.
Yes.
Gaffney, South Carolina. Okay. All right.
But I that's it.
All right. Excellent.
Today. Want to go ahead?
No, man about time.
I'm just got el hombre de pueblo.
Yes.
So I'm here. I need to find a First Amendment button because I do think that free speech is under attack like never before, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the show. But I am wearing using my WikiLeaks mug, and because we never want to forget that Julian Assange is being slowly tortured.
You never want to forget.
Well, I don't think the world should forget, because I think
true.
that's what
Yeah.
what the stakes are.
Excellent.
Loss of dissident voices.
I'm
Well,
Christian.
and you're seeing that too. Not to riff on that, but I'll let you
No.
introduce yourself.
I'm Christian Cano. I do have my need to impeach.
Yeah.
We're in the removal part. So just to remind people, Trump has already been impeached. You can't turn that back. He's impeached. Now they're in the removal trial. So it's as if though you received a bad job review, and now your boss is determining whether to fire you or not. So that's really what's going on right now. But the two buttons I have, because this is really my challenge, I have my Bernie button, and then I have my Tom 2020 button. We met Tom Steyer this last weekend, and I was very impressed on a lot of the things he had to say. And so as a Bernie person, I've got to make a decision in the next couple of weeks, in the next week, on who I'm going to endorse. Maybe the first time I have to endorse two people. But they were both, one of the great things I liked about Tom Steyer is he's not mean to any of the other candidates. He doesn't say like Biden and Pete Booster Chair and the other one. He doesn't say.
Did you just say Booster Chair?
Oh, yes, I did. He doesn't say.
Is that a short joke?
Yes, people who follow Bernie or Elizabeth Warren are pipe dreamers. He doesn't say that. That's like what Hillary used to call Bernie, like they're pipe dreamers.
Yeah.
Right.
So he just basically says, "This is what I'm fighting for," and so forth, and that's.
These are my goals. This is what I want.
So we'll find out what's going on. So
and some of the Democratic stuff has gotten really ugly lately.
It has.
You know, with the Hillary rant that I did not agree with.
and why is she?
I mean, like, I love Hillary. I'm a huge Hillary fan. I really wanted her to be president in 2016.
But shouldn't she be like the iguanas on the trees in Florida?
Yeah, pull her out of the tail.
But if you really if she really had something to say, she should have jumped in the 2020 race. And
Exactly.
to me, you don't. And I hate to quote this person, but you know the Reagan rule with the Republicans is that thou shalt not criticize your competition because they may get the nomination. You're tearing down their brand, and what she's saying is so mean spirited and so disingenuous. You know, to me, is and I think that's probably part of her personality quirks is what bit her in the ass in 2016. I mean, honestly, besides the Russians and a bunch of other things, but I think her mean-spiritedness, her cattiness, sometimes this almost Bob Dole-like personality.
Yeah.
Bob Dole, his big knock was that he was the hatchet man. He was rude.
You know what's the sad part of it is that now she's trying to not nominate, but I guess what is it called? Endorse Bernie. I heard this morning.
No, she's backtracking. Because what
they're
she's
asking her to do it, and she's kind of.
We'll see what the way this controversy started was. Apparently, she told some magazine, the Hollywood Reporter magazine, that she thinks Bernie is something she didn't like him, or he was in his Bernie Bros, which I'm a Bernie Bro. That Bernie Bros are attack women all the time, and this. And then she's walking back saying, I like Bernie, I will support. Yeah. That's why Tom Steyer and a lot of the people running for this weekend or yesterday tweeted hashtag I like Bernie. Right. Almost in a protest against her.
Yeah, correct.
So,
and if you did have a favorite, I don't know what her favorite is or her personal favorite. I'm sure she has
herself.
Yeah, besides herself,
herself and her mirror
and her hubby.
That likes her.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
It depends on what is.
Yeah, the definition of is, and I lost my law license. But I do think, that...
when Jenny does this?
Listen to...
I'm gonna have to stop you there.
I'm in crazy bitch mode today, so
that cold weather has you burning.
I'm pissed. I hate cold. I hate winter. It's the only part about global warming that I like is that it'll be all nice and tropical and toasty. Excuse me.
So where were we?
But her tearing down candidates, especially when they're trying to win a primary, is stupid.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. And there is some truth to, there is some problematic behaviors with the Bernie movement.
Yeah. But that's the way her campaign was towards Bernie.
That's what I was going to
also.
say. It was her also.
And
That's why I endorsed Bernie.
And it was one of the reasons I didn't like Bernie in 2016.
Yeah.
And
You got that down?
He's not my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and we'll do a show on who we endorse.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
We'll save it for that show.
We'll save it before the
That's good. I hate the fact that Kamala Harris had to drop out.
Yeah.
I mean, I just hate that.
Well, that was one of the things I really admired
really
about Tom
impacts me.
Starr. When we met with him, we met with him, and he said that he has only been upset at the DNC twice. Because a reporter asked him, "Are you upset that the DNC has changed the requirement for the next debate?" And he said, "You know, it is what it is." He said, "But I've only been upset at them twice. The first time was when Kamala Harris pulled out, and he was upset that the DNC did not make it more friendlier for people of color to be on stage. He didn't want the diversity to leave." So I thought that was a very interesting thing that he said. That he understood what it looked, the visual.
Here's my counterpoint to her: is that she just wasn't a good candidate. She
was the first debate.
Yeah, and
she didn't raise any money.
Oh.
Okay, but don't we talk about all the time on this show that that money shouldn't be the only thing in politics?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, but the reality is that if you're going to win the nomination, you better be able to generate interest, and the lack of interest, which equates into money. She couldn't even outraise Beto, and Beto lost his Senate race in Texas. She couldn't beat somebody even like Beto, and that's the democratic process. Whether we like it or not, that's the process we have right now.
No, that's the Democratic Party process. We could change it. The Democratic Party can change the process any way they want.
You can. But that's the way it is right now.
Yeah.
And we have chose to go along with this and with the primary system the way it is, and it is slanted against people of color. It definitely is.
And that's kind of confusing and kind of sad at the same time, where we have created a picture where money has to be involved and you have to have money. Something that really caught my attention about Tom was he's putting his own money. Some
serious money.
Like his own money.
He has been the largest single donor to Democrats over the last 10 years. And he has taken the wealth pledge or the giving pledge to give most of his money away to charity while he's living. Plus, he has funded so many Get Out the Vote, Next Gen. He started that organization. As you can tell, I was really inspired by my meeting with him.
Yeah, it was really good. But also, it's not only about him giving out the money and investing it and putting it out there. It both goes by hand by hand. He gives quality time to us.
He took the time to meet with us. That's great.
You know,
that's right.
It's not like he just walked in and said, "Okay, thank you
like
for this," and left.
You know, like Jacob did.
Yes.
And I'm sure many other people will.
Yes. But I'm going to play devil's advocate again.
Sure.
Because I did meet him, and I'm not
I'm sorry, I missed you.
I didn't get romanced by him. I'm going to say on the side, he sucks in the polls. He's not a front runner.
He is. I think in certain, like Nevada, in states that have higher Latino voter turnout, he's doing very well.
But in national polls,
he's still in third place with the last between him and Bernie and what was the other one? Biden. I mean, he stayed in third place on the debate, on the last debate that they had.
The last debate, but since October, he's fifth or sixth or something like that, and he's never really gotten above that. I mean, he's never.
Well, we'll find out in 12 days, right? And Iowa caucus is in 12 days or 14 days.
And that's part of the process is that we have to go by polling data and performance. The day it's a contact sport.
We don't have to go by anything.
No,
we can do whatever we want to do.
But you do have to win.
But that's the problem. That's the issue. That when we get to know him, we can actually help others to not make you understand, but give him a chance and get to know him, dig into it.
I love what I've read about him.
I
mean, my early on favorites last year, Beto, because he was from my home state, and I, until he got kooky. I love Andrew Yang. I love his thought process. He's very modern, very forward, brilliant on a lot of things that he says. Very thoughtful and mindful of what we're going through.
We got to get
All right.
to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So Jeff,
Yes.
because you haven't said anything today.
He's been quiet.
He sure has.
He's been over there napping.
He's thinking about the iguanas.
He's thinking about the iguanas.
He's caught up with the iguana tails. You know, like, don't pull my tail.
Okay.
We don't have anything particular we want to talk about today.
But
Is there anything that's been on your mind?
well, just to wrap up this
How did that sound
conversation, about the Democratic primaries, I'm really not. I don't watch the debates.
You obviously do because you said you fall asleep during the debates.
Well, I don't really pay that close of attention to the candidates, but I am on Twitter, I am on social media, so you can't help but get this information. And there's some reporters that I like who are independent reporters, whether it's Matt Taibbi at Rolling Stone or Michael Tracy, who's an independent journalist, and some others that I pay attention to, and even Joe Rogan, you know, he had Bernie on, he had Tulsi on,
he's got a podcast,
and he's got a podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm absorbing, you know, what it is that I hear, and I'm not voting in the Democratic primary. I'm not going out to, the only person I think I would go to a rally for would probably be Tulsi, right? Because she's the only anti-war candidate, right?
Homophobe.
So whatever the case is.
Speaking of that.
So anyway, moving on from there, because what was the question again? Sorry.
What's been on your mind?
What's been on my mind? Let's see. Well, there was some news yesterday, right? Yeah. And we had this discussion in, libertarian circles, right? Which is, because of what happened up in Virginia.
With the guns?
With the guns, yeah.
Okay.
Now, as you know, on this show, I'm not a gun guy. Many people in my party are, and they are.
Why are you still in your party?
No. I support the Second Amendment just like I support all the other amendments, right? Especially the first 5, which deal with the tyranny that we faced, right, back in the 1700s. So I'm a strong supporter of that. Now, whether or not people want it at the state and local level want to be regulating things like bump stocks and stuff like that, I'm not in that argument very much, right? So having said that, what's happening up in Virginia is they're trying to declare parts of their state sanctuaries, right? So those sanctuaries, the resolutions that they're coming up with, don't quite have the force of law, right?
Yeah, they're just resolutions.
Because if a city council or a county commissioners stand up and says, we resolve, what does that mean? That means nothing unless you pass some kind of ordinance, and then the sheriff has to be on board. So if we go back to talk about ICE for a minute and the ICE raids and Sheriff McFadden, who we've been supporting all the way from the beginning, and his resistance against Fourth Amendment depredations, right? The DHS coming in with pieces of paper saying, you got to respect our silly administrative immigration judges because we appointed them and they're good people. And if you're like a Dan Bishop whack, they got to do this. This is for the people. This is important. So I think that's all bullshit. I think the Republicans are completely bullshitting on this. I've seen Republican judges stand up in front of Republicans and say, no, McFadden's right. And everybody kind of goes,
start clutching their pearls.
Fainting couches,
Kind of like their penis extensions. I mean, the guns.
So we are all on board, as we have been, with sanctuaries, at least from the perspective of Sheriff McFadden and some of the other sheriffs of color, right, throughout the state, saying, we're not going to enforce this, it's illegal, you're imposing costs on us, you're asking us to do things that are against the Fourth Amendment, you go to a judge, you get a warrant, then we'll do it. It's the same thing with guns. Now, libertarians are part of this. It's mostly Republicans, so my fear is that this is just a...
Could we back up for a second? So, because I'm completely ignorant on this subject, which is highly unusual.
I'm shocked.
Shocked. That's my pearls. But so the sanctuaries are protecting guns or not protecting guns?
Well,
So-
let's get to that, right?
So,
because
I mean, when you say sanctuary, I'm confused. Are they getting to just swing the guns around in the air? And
No,
go,
they're saying that if you pass a law that where the cops have to go out and take guns from people,
okay,
then the sheriffs are going to say no. We respect the Second Amendment that citizens have a right.
These
to
are
bear arms.
resolutions that these cities are passing. They
Right.
want to be called sanctuary gun cities.
Right.
So that way, if
They
the
won't take them
state or
away.
if the federal government passes any laws, that the resolution says that we will not honor that law.
so it's protecting guns.
Yes,
Then,
that's protecting-
gun
that's
protecting
ownership.
guns.
Yeah, okay,
It's-
that's what I wanted to find because especially
Yeah.
for people
Right.
that are watching the show that don't know, like,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
me sitting
sanctuary.
here.
We hear
And
it
so,
as
like-
immigration status. But
So
Well,
I just want to make sure.
But I think that's an
Like-
interesting point that you have
Yeah.
to make because what you're saying is, my understanding is, Gaston County is thinking about doing that.
Union County
is thinking about
well,
doing
Union
that.
County did a resolution
Okay.
yesterday, and so maybe we need to bring Stoney back.
Sure.
you know,
and,
I'm going.
and we can talk about this
Why,
because
why is it okay to pass a sanctuary city for guns, but it's
Yeah.
not for us?
Actually,
That's
Union
right.
County,
Good point.
actually,
That's
right.
Union
Hypocritical.
County, what it's
Yeah.
doing right now, and I'll be taking that
Yeah. Sure.
test.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's a survey where how me as a resident,
Sure.
how would I react? Will I
Mhm.
pull out a gun? Will I put out a? They're gonna take me into
Sure.
a room and give me all the tools.
this
and
is a survey.
as a resident.
As a
Oh,
resident.
yeah, and,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And they're doing that study with
Yeah.
UNCC to
Yeah.
kind of get an idea how will they direct police officers
Mhm.
into a circumstances or any issues. How would they react? So I guess they're gathering all that information in order to make that decision, either
Right.
protect. Or
So
not
to your
protect, or-
point, Jeff, and this is
Yeah.
just a question, and maybe we can all answer this. What you're saying, Jeff, is if I'm understanding you correctly, that if you're connecting, if Union County can pass a gun sanctuary city, that would go under local rule. We have a right to decide what we want to do. Why can't Mecklenburg County also make that same decision on whatever we decide we want to?
Right.
So because the same people, it seems like,
Yeah.
the same people that are against, or they're calling Mecklenburg
Yeah.
County a sanctuary city because
Yeah.
the sheriff is protecting
That's
the
right.
Fourth Amendment or whatever.
That's right.
They're now saying it's not good for you, but we want to pass this.
That's
So
right.
it's almost hypocritical.
Well, it's
Well,
against
well,
the
it is.
state legislature too, because the supermajority
So should
in
we
our
support
state
it?
house is against sanctuaries.
Yeah.
They're
So then
it should
saying
be
it's
all-
local control.
So it
That's
should be
right.
against all of them then.
Yeah.
So it does
Yeah.
present an interesting political dynamic.
Yeah.
Urban voters in Mecklenburg want to protect immigrants. They want to protect people of color. They want to make sure that the police are
Trans people.
restrained
Yeah.
in their activities against other people. People in Union County, more rural, more conservative, are saying we need to have our own protection. We don't want you coming in taking our guns, whether they're registered or not. You know, we don't want you doing that because we believe we have a natural right of protection. We're scared of the world. We're scared. You know, Trump's practically Hitler. Do not
Exactly.
take my guns.
So isn't it interesting that, I mean, I guess you could spin it any way you want to, but doesn't that make it sound like Union County, what they're basically saying to the Monroe Police Department and to the Union County
Yeah.
Sheriff is, you're so incompetent that we don't even believe you can protect us.
Yeah.
No. That's never been
little
the case.
bit.
That's
Well,
never.
No,
been,
that's what they
that's
but
their-
that's what they do to
but
protect
it's
themselves.
but it's never been
Yeah.
the case that people who have guns and keep guns for protection think that they have that because police are incompetent. It's just a matter of timing.
Sure.
You know, there's some meme or cliche.
Yeah.
You know, when seconds matter, police are only minutes away.
Yeah.
People have a gun in their home. They've got it for insurance.
Mhm.
I mean, they want to
Yeah.
be insured against intruders. They want to be able to react quickly. They
Sure.
want peace of mind. They want safety. You know, if you've got kids in the house, it's a difficult calculation. I've got kids in the house, so, you know, I don't have guns in the house,
Yeah.
right? So, having said that, it's not about police incompetence.
Sure.
Because
They
a lot of
wanna
those
feel
gun
safe.
a lot of those gun peoples are in complete harmony with the way that the police operate.
So they're helping the police.
Yes.
Usually they're fairly conservative. I mean, more often than not,
That's
most
right.
gun owners, most gun advocates,
That's true.
are extraordinarily conservative.
That's right.
I guess
Yes.
what I'm saying is that if their argument is the reason that we need this is to protect ourselves, you're basically saying
What's
that the
the purpose
taxes
of
that
it?
the taxes that I pay for public protection is not working.
Yeah.
See,
You can't have it both ways.
No, I disagree with that
Okay.
because you
I
can't.
think
They want an
you don't-
additional
yes,
protection.
a cop can't be there if you are going to be a victim of a crime.
Well, then move to a safer city.
It's only after.
Well, then if you live in such a dangerous
Yeah.
county, move to a safer county.
Well, the police can't be everywhere.
I'm just being Jenny.
No, I don't understand why.
I would say
I
shit
really
like
don't
that.
understand
Yeah.
why Union County would want to bring that into our county, where I feel that we're not in
You're
danger.
you're a very
We're
safe
in a
county.
Okay,
good,
so-
safe.
So this is the political.
It's way
calculation,
better than
right?
Mecklenburg.
This is why I'm not totally buying in on it. As a libertarian, most of my libertarian friends are like they're buying into this. I'm going, no, you got to be careful on this. This is a Republican get out the vote
Yes,
effort.
of course
Okay?
it
This
is.
is very
Yes, yeah.
performative.
This is like
So,
this
yeah.
is
Very
this is
performative.
performance art.
So is this going to
Performance
be on
art.
the
We're going
ballot?
to ramp it up.
Yeah.
No, but it's going to be.
Okay.
There will be. Are there commissioner races this year? Yes, there are
Yes,
commissioner
yes,
races
yes.
this year.
And
Are
Stoney's
there
up for
commissioner
election?
races in
Yes,
Union County?
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Okay,
And in
so,
Mecklenburg
so
County.
they need to.
So that's
they need-
interesting timing.
Yeah, they need to edge up their base. But remember, as we talked about earlier, 2020 is the most important election in all of human history.
Not unless Union County wants to kind of prepare and kind of do awareness before
Yeah.
we fall into where other counties are under.
Okay, but haven't we had this conversation that
I mean-
as a Democrat,
Yeah.
it really always upsets me that the Republicans come up with these ideas and the Democrats just kind of sit back and complain. Why don't we come up with great ideas? Why don't we
Yeah.
put on the
Yeah.
ballot in November a resolution banning Baptist ministers from going into bathrooms?
God.
No,
I
it would
totally
be
agree.
as
I mean,
ridiculous as the HB2 thing, right?
Right.
Oh, 100%.
And our argument would be they have
Or-
a higher tendency to molest kids.
That's right.
Are the
Yeah.
Catholic Church, Catholic priests from going to bathrooms? These are so obscene type
I
of legislations.
Yeah.
Why don't we put those on and have
I know,
people vote on
but
those?
when
because there's such unconnected. So the
Because
thing
then
is,
we will get into their level that are
the
stupid.
fear,
about
the fear,
bringing all those
but-
things.
but-
the fear mongering,
Yeah.
and how and it's
Yeah.
specifically conservatives, whether they're religious conservatives. And the churches are speaking
Yeah.
against the LGBT community,
Sure.
Yeah.
or governmental conservatives,
Yeah.
political conservatives. The fundamental thing is they create fears,
Yeah.
connecting something that is not really connected to
Well,
it.
that-
Like
shouldn't we start doing
trans
that?
people,
Mhm.
law enforcement even said, and I remember during the Texas
Mhm.
legislative session when I went to protest that and testify against it, was even law enforcement said there was no correlation of trans women
Sure.
going into their affirming
Of course.
bathroom and assault against women or
But doesn't the
children.
Bible say eye for an eye, something like that?
The
No,
Old
no.
Testament
In
does.
that?
So,
Old Testament.
Old Testament, which isn't
Moses'
Christian,
law-
it's based on the
Moses-
Torah and Jews.
Moses'
I mean, like,
law-
it's
so
like-
this fear of
it's fear
abuse
mongering.
and risk and molestation and that sort of thing, all you need to do is use this tool called Google, and you can figure out all the risk statistics, and you can go back and you can look at all the papers, all the studies that have been done on this, and it's always.
But Jeff,
So you
person of authority.
the best
But
law
Jeff-
would be that you can't go into the bathroom with a family
but
member.
okay, but
That
Jeff,
would be.
but Jeff,
or a coach, a priest,
But Jenny-
or a cop.
Jenny-
I mean, they're usually the worst
Actually,
way.
That's right.
actually, we are living in an era right now where anybody,
Mhm.
we don't have to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
through anything. Anyone
Yeah.
can take advantage and do something.
Yeah. But
inside
Jenny,
that.
you and I have had this conversation off camera, and you've had this conversation off
Look at
camera.
the teachers.
At what
Off camera.
Female teacher
for at least 50 years.
to a
Yeah.
17-year-old. Come on.
Evangelicals have been trying to shame LGBTQ members, even women. They've been trying
Oh,
to shame,
yeah.
and we have just sat back and just gone, it's wrong, it's wrong. At what point do we start fighting back and we start saying, back to their face, you're more likely.
Now,
to
not all evangelicals.
No,
not all.
you're right. Yeah, that's true.
And
That is
also,
true.
yes, but see, we gotta kind of determine. It's like hearing a undercover Republican.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like hearing a Democrat undercover Republican guy saying stupid things as well.
Yeah.
So we gotta keep in mind that it's not about what can we bring to change. It's how we are educating our new generations. What are we teaching them?
Sure.
If I bring my son, how would I tell him who Jenny is? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How would I present him? It's depending on me, how much I care for you and for him to make that separation.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
laughing at
what
what
we're
you're
doing.
saying. I'm laughing at the
You know what I'm
message.
saying? It's
Right.
like we are the ones that are creating a new world in their mind and saying, oh, don't get near him because he, the pastors or the most rapists. No one's gonna want to go into a church.
I think what Ruth is saying is very, very important. And we really should have some almost like we keep saying all these kind of shows. We
gotta write them down.
Yeah, exactly.
And do an agenda.
We really need to have a
Someone
show.
take
A topic
some notes
point.
for us,
No,
please.
we really need to have a show of the truth about people of faith.
Correct.
Because that is correct.
Both ways.
There is a difference
Both ways.
between a Franklin Graham evangelical
Correct.
and a like maybe the church that you go to evangelical or different. There is younger
Mine
evangelicals.
is non-denominational. We don't believe in religion, so
Well,
it's like
People who are very down to earth.
Sure.
They believe in God. They maybe go to church, but they're very down to earth, and we can have normal conversations about all the normal things that go on.
And when
in
you
their
say
life.
down in earth, let me put this in parentheses.
Yeah.
Down in earth for me, it's believing that I'm a human being,
That's
that
right.
I'm open to any type of sin, that
So-
I can fall
Yeah.
and understand that I made a mistake, to point my finger and judge someone else thinking that I'm holy.
Right.
And circling it back to politics is the right now in our present state, religion has jumped into politics.
Yes.
So what a lot of weight, at least the
And we
progressives
have allowed it.
encouraged it. So
Well,
the
wait,
religious
wait a-
community has
yeah.
encouraged
It
it,
hasn't
invested
really
into
presidential
politics.
races.
Yeah,
Oh, he is.
I would take issue with that because it certainly has been in the past, and we know we
Yeah.
all
Well, it's
recall
right now.
back. We all
Not a
experienced.
presidential race.
Absolutely.
Well,
who do you think? Oh yeah.
Let's go. Let's just go back.
His biggest donors
historically.
in 2016
Let's
and
just-
2020 are religious
Okay.
groups.
He just had a rally in Miami with one of our call friend
Yeah.
pastor where I've been in that
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
Yeah.
the moment he got the Republican nomination in 2016,
He had
the moment
around a
secured
whole
that,
bunch of people
he
praying
went
for
to
him.
the 5 most radical
Yeah.
religious right
There's a
groups.
Juanita Bynum.
They were so bad.
Paula White.
Even George W. Bush and Papa Bush would never go and solicit.
Yeah,
money
but
from
I don't
them, so-
think, and this is the sense that I get. I know on the Democratic side, the only person who's kind of pushing religion is Pete Buttigieg. That's really and he only says it every once in a while, kind of like Dan McCready did.
Oh, no.
Jesse
But he
Jackson
only
used
says it
to-
every once in a while.
Oh
Be
no!
very-
Oh no!
No one else is really running on that kind of platform. On the Republican side,
I completely disagree.
who else
I
is?
radically,
I mean, who else
completely
is?
Yeah,
disagree.
we have a lot of friends.
Pelosi, I mean, she's a.
I haven't heard that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, her and her family ran LGBT.
No,
conversion
I know
camps.
you've said that, but
But-
I haven't seen it in
but-
the debates.
But it's in
Yeah.
it's in her DNA. I mean,
Okay.
she literally is a religious conservative.
Okay, that's
a radical.
but that's 1% out of 8.
Yeah,
Okay.
they all pay homage to religion, though.
Yeah,
You're not going to have.
But
a
it's nothing
presidential-
like Obama, where Obama was quoting the scripture. And Bill Clinton was quoting scripture.
Yeah.
They're not running like that.
Well, they haven't got the nomination yet.
It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't sense it. I know you sense it, but do you sense it?
Well,
I can sense it.
I don't sense it at all with Trump.
Yeah, based on what
Trump
I
is
feel.
so.
Well, no, he doesn't practice it,
No.
but he solicited the money.
No, he does.
His top donors are
Yeah.
all deal, and he's carrying out their playbook.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's where I would take
and
issue.
as vice president,
Look,
I mean,
it's pretty clear that the Reagan administration was the first administration to really start bringing in the evangelicals, and so there were true Bible thumpers in the administration. You can go back and see pictures of Mark Harris with Ronald Reagan, right, way back when. But I don't see it in the Democratic pool, which is fine, from me.
For me too.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather that be.
And Trump, for all his faults, he's not a Bible thumper.
No, he's not.
No, but
he's supported
He
by it.
uncovers himself though.
Well, they're in his administration, so I completely disagree. He's
they-
co-opted that.
I know, but
he uses the Bible to talk about the abortion and
he's still
talks
got
about.
he's still got a coalition. You have to have a coalition. The Republicans are a big tent party. So I hate being in a position where I'm defending
Donald Trump. So do I.
But the
That is
Republicans,
really the only thing.
Republicans
But
have
he's using the
big
vessel
tent.
religion, which is the
Yeah.
same thing. I mean,
He uses
if you go,
everything.
If you go and say,
He's-
I didn't kill the person, but I hired the person that killed that
Yeah.
person,
Yeah,
it's
the same.
still guilty of murder. And he has a education secretary that's a radical religious nut job. His vice president killed people in Indiana in his policies.
I don't doubt what you're
And
saying
so-
at all. I'm just saying
and
that
so
him,
out of
him-
religion.
him personally
Yeah.
and his big tent, he's not a Bible thumper. He may hire some of those people from time to time, but he
They're
has
making his policy.
and he has to
And
go talk to them. But he tells them, "Hey, you got no place left to go. Stormy Daniels, forget
So
about her."
how do we give the free pass like that though? Because
No, we're not, I don't
here's
think
the
we're
thing.
giving our free
We're
pass.
not giving him a free pass.
We always look
Yeah.
back at history and go and when we go, how did the German people just look the other way with Adolf Hitler and Goebbels and all that? And then now we got our modern incarnation of Hitler, which is Donald Trump, and stripping away rights as we speak.
Whenever
with FOSFA and all that other stuff, and you being a First Amendment person, it's all coming out of religion. It's all coming out of religion to be able to not be able to go on social media and post what you want.
Oh, no. I've got my own pet theory about
And it's
about,
because of religion.
about the religious conservatives basically being the fuel that fires the total surveillance state.
Well, yeah, they run the Republican Party right now.
Well, I just think that I understand what you're saying, Jenny, and I'm not suggesting that they are not part of his administration and his damage. I guess what I'm saying is that one of the things that I just don't see when I'm watching the diehard Trump supporters like Stoney Rushing, like Dan Bishop, they are just radical. They're not radical Christians. They're just radical.
Oh,
they
very much are.
I don't see that like Mark Harris. I don't see that like the like Robert Pittenger, who was really Franklin Grahamish, even spoke very quoting the Bible, things like that. So if they are, they're just not doing it the same way. When I look at the rallies and when I see the people that are supporting Trump or whatever, they just seem like.
When's the last time you've gone to a Republican meeting? You should go to one. It's eye opening. It's very much still wrapped in Christianity.
Oh,
very much.
I've been there.
I went to one at Mickey's and Mooch's in the last year. I had to pay to get in. They didn't know who I was.
It was very, it's very wrapped up in religion. In religion, the last speaker that they had that I saw at the Young Republicans deal, she constantly quoting religion and touting religion and the Republican Party's backbone is about religion.
So let me just say one thing about
weaponizing
that.
it.
Let me say one thing about that because I went to a couple of Republican, like a state convention in California, right? And I was talking to some of the other secular Republicans, and they were saying that, in California, it's also a religious party because it's all those Orange County Republicans. They're the ones that are ones that are running stuff. They're doing the direct mail. They're making the phone calls. They're doing the get out the vote. They're the ones that are doing the work, so they get to call the shots. And we were just lamenting the fact that we're like secular, small R Republicans, and we just don't. We can't have an impact on this.
And here's my big thing especially with big religion, just like big pharma. Big religion in the United States has more money and more assets than Google and Amazon combined.
I saw that yesterday in an article.
And it's tax-free money, and it's the Catholic Church is the largest corporation on the planet, the largest private landholder on the planet. It rivals, its wealth rivals any government
But you know what?
on the planet, incling the United States.
You know what's the funny part of it?
We do need rivals to government.
But you know what?
we
What's
do.
the funny part of it, especially for the Catholics? I was at the Hispanic
chamber.
Well, Friday
Yeah.
Afternoon.
Oh,
And we
okay.
were talking about how can we get voters registered,
Uh-huh.
how can we educate them and stuff like that. And we were talking about how, especially our descendant, our Hispanics,
Oh, the,
are hard-headed.
yeah.
And we talk about
Yeah.
going into churches
Yeah.
and allowing and having that connection with pastors, allowing us to explain to them
Mhm.
not about parties, but what's the importance of being a voter.
Yes.
Well, the Catholic Church
Mhm.
will not allow
Yes.
no one.
They're very
They're
strict
very
about that.
strict
Yeah.
about it. They will not
They don't
allow
want to lose their
no
tax
one
exemption. It's important to them.
to come and talk about
Yeah.
no politics
Yeah.
issues.
But they do.
But they do support.
They do talk. Yeah. It
But
is.
they jump
You know,
into
it's
politics
sad.
in a lot of different ways.
But they don't
do.
allow us to go and educate our community so they can get,
Yeah.
we're not going to go tell them who to vote for. We just want to make sure that they know their rights.
That's
their
been a long,
voice.
that's been a very long tradition in the Catholic Church that you're right, they're
They
not like
won't.
the black churches where they're about voter engagement, voter get out.
Yeah,
importance.
educating them,
They're-
endorsements.
they don't allow that for maybe, I'm sure there's
It's
some
weird.
history involved in that, even as far back as John F. Kennedy. When John F. Kennedy was running, there were actually Protestants that were threatening to take their tax exemptions, that they even mentioned John F. Kennedy's name in support of him because he was Catholic. So they all backed off on the being able.
So
even
they're
though the-
helping
Because
the
he was the first
Latinos.
Catholic
Yes.
president.
So they're
Yeah.
helping the Latino, with their needs and pay
Yeah.
bills and stuff, but they're not giving them the right tools so they can empower.
I think that's more of an American thing.
Their
I'd be curious to
rights.
find out about
Well,
that.
I've got no problem with
Yeah.
any institution saying you cannot do a get out the vote effort in my institution.
I agree with you.
So I
Yeah.
I mean I'm as a libertarian, right, and sort of I hope I'm speaking for other third parties in this context. Those get out the vote efforts are purely partisan endeavors, and when people say get out the vote, they say get out the vote
For
and
me.
vote for me.
Because
right?
Gotcha.
I have actually
Right.
been at a Democratic event
yeah.
in my local area where we were going to be doing a get out the vote. We were going to be doing a
Canvassing?
voter registration
Yeah.
drive
Mm.
in the South Park area, but we were being encouraged not to.
Talk about any other party.
No. One of the ladies said, one of the white-haired ladies said,
Bless
"But we
you,
don't want the
Lord.
Republicans to vote." And that was really, she was just wanted us
See,
to go
that's
after.
not right.
She,
Of course.
We're encouraging.
She was accidentally speaking the truth.
yes.
Well,
in
and
front
that-
of a group that was basically conspiring
Exactly.
to say we're really a front group for Democrats and we're
Yeah.
getting out the vote because we want Democrats to
Yeah.
vote. So don't say anything honest.
And that's
Please.
the way, whether it's a nonpartisan
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a partisan activist group that
Mhm.
does anything with politics,
Mhm.
Yeah.
is that they can't publicly say that they endorse, but
Yeah.
they'll say in their meetings, we're a progressive group.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
Or
we're
we're
a conservative group.
Those are those
You know,
taglines.
so we'll go
Yeah.
one side or the other.
Yeah.
But truthfully, yeah, what she
Yeah.
said was the truth. Like
That's
we
right.
don't want to encourage Republicans to register. We want them to stay home. We want them to be watching
Yeah.
their gun shows and their boat shows.
Right.
And we don't want them to vote. In the same way, we don't. Republicans traditionally have stayed away from traditionally progressive areas or
Yeah,
progressive
sure.
districts because we don't
Yeah.
encourage voting in those areas.
That's
Which,
right.
you know,
And we would like to
it's-
actively suppress voting in those areas.
We've got about 10 minutes left because we
Okay.
started late, but I do want to talk very
Yeah.
briefly about what Jenny and I talked about, I think on Monday and Tuesday. You had posted something, Jenny, and first of all, let me just say thank you for Jenny. Jenny has been doing a wonderful job of posting a lot of really positive things, some good stories. And it's so wonderful to see these good stories being posted because we don't often see that on social media.
Why don't I ever see your post?
That's because you
got a block. No, so
I got me blocked.
so
That anti-religion nut job.
You need to
I
post
wanna
more
thank you.
YouTube videos of cats. That's what we
Oh,
need
that
to
was
see.
so. Anyway, thank you for doing that. But one of the
All I
things,
see are her models on the lights.
no, one of the
I
things
guess
she
that's
posted, which I had known about because I saw it on CNN and ABC or NBC, that the state of Tennessee has passed legislation that would ban same-sex couples from
That's a close friend.
adopting children,
Yeah.
not adopting children.
Adopting.
The legislation prohibits.
Oh, I did read that one.
prohibits
Yeah. I remember.
religious
I remember.
adoption agencies from being banned from
LGBT.
adoption.
Discrimination.
So it's not discrimination against
Just-
LGBT. It is indirectly, but basically it is a preventive measure that some states have passed to say that, let's say, Catholic adoption agencies or Baptist adoption agencies, that they have every right to deny a same-sex couple a child or whatever due to their whatever beliefs. And I know obviously that's
but
outrageous.
it is directly to LGBT.
It is obviously.
Yeah,
it is.
it's
I mean,
all-
it's not.
only-
If you
it
say
is
same
anti-LGBT.
sex,
So if you are a member of that adoption agency,
Mhm.
basically what you're saying is, I want the taxpayer money, because it's tied to taxpayer money.
okay.
Yeah.
So
the foster care system.
if you are, let's say, a Catholic foster home, you can make any, as a Democratic Libertarian, you have every right to make any rules and regulations depending on what your faith is. If you believe not women priests, if you believe not in abortion, if you believe in abortion, if you believe
Inside your church.
inside your church.
Inside your
But
church.
once you ask for taxpayer money,
Correct.
it's you have to be fair to
Well-
all taxpayers.
Well, I'm going to back
So
you up a little
that's-
bit. So
sure.
you're missing one very important point.
Okay.
So any registered business, whether
Sure.
it's a nonprofit corporation or a corporation, has to go by Title IX and all those things.
Sure.
Mhm.
So one of the issues is when you do cross-state and interstate
Sure.
commerce, is you're not allowed to discriminate
Mhm.
on the grounds of what somebody is.
Sure.
We've fought this battle before
Yeah.
with the civil rights movement
Exactly.
in the 60s.
Exactly.
And the Congress is refusing to
Yeah.
protect LGBT communities, or actually the Senate is.
Mhm.
And so this is another religious freedom
Sure.
bill is what it's coming under. Again, my point made about the undertones of the Republican Party being a religious
Sure.
zealotry party is because they're using religious freedom as one of their core things. If they don't use guns, they use religion, and they weaponize religion, and against even the grain of progressive religious people, and said we can't practice our faith, where our freedom is getting curtailed if we have a foster an adoption agency that has two gay men adopting a kid at our deal. It affects our freedom, and so that's why they're passing
Okay,
laws.
so
like
Jenny, there's
that. They did it in Texas.
okay,
too.
so Jenny, there's only 3 ways to fight this.
Right.
The first way is to elect different people to change the law.
Correct.
The people who live in Tennessee to uprise and force them to change the law, because the governor's going to sign it any day now. The second way is to boycott, just like they boycott Tennessee. Make sure that public universities and colleges will not play University of Tennessee, just like New York, all the big states. So financial, make sure that companies don't hold.
With any boycott or embargo, the deal is to use great.
Or the third way, which I know it's a little extreme, would be to push for other legislation in that same state that would say, if you are a Christian, you cannot adopt a child.
Oh wow.
But
It would be just as extreme.
Or the
because
more-
if you're saying, my charity will not allow same-sex people, then other charities who are not Christian should pass legislation saying, if you are a Christian, because it is just as discriminatory
You're not
to
allowed
violate,
to.
then you are not allowed to
to
shop
adopt.
at my place or to adopt a child.
I'm against that.
So would I. So am I. But I'm
I'm
saying
not
this.
radically
So am I,
against
but
that.
it's like the way I see
I
it is
understand your point,
Yeah.
but
give
here's
them
my.
back the same thing that they're giving
Exactly.
us.
I have a
Yeah.
problem with that.
Okay.
I have a problem with that. I do not want any of my family members. I come from a very religious
Sure.
family,
Mhm.
from basically Lutheran royalty in Texas, and I would not want that to happen to them.
But they want it to happen to you.
I'm okay with that. That's my battle to fight. When I chose to come out,
Sure.
I knew I was going down a path, just as you did,
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be radically different the moment I told the world I'm trans.
Mm-hmm.
That was my choice.
Yeah.
I was born this way, but I ultimately chose the transition.
Okay.
So, because of religious right-wing radicals, they've made my life inordinately more impossible
Mm-hmm.
than it should be.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that's why we have the court system.
Mm-hmm.
We do have, because this bill will get thrown out in the courts.
I think
it
so,
won't
right.
it won't even get to the higher courts.
I think it's going to be
because Texas passed
yeah.
the same thing,
Yeah,
and
and it was,
the
it was
district
locked.
court,
Mhm.
the district appellate court in Houston, Texas, threw it out within days.
Yeah.
of
Of it
passing.
being signed.
And there's a reason being. That's why we have 3 branches of government,
Yeah.
and one of them is judicial.
Mm-hmm.
I think that even some of the conservative courts are throwing out these religious freedom things.
Yeah.
Because they go, look, there's a reason why we have the separation of church and state.
Sure.
Yeah.
We should not be defending religion or on religious freedom grounds unless that church business is being affected. Like a state's going in and saying, I'm now going to run your church.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what to say.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going
If
to tell
not,
you what
I'll
you
take
can
away
have.
the funds.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to shut you down.
Yeah.
Now, that's also illegal too, because, no more should a church be able to go into a school and proselytize people. I'm completely against religion in schools because it's part of the state. I think public funding in this form of vouchers for religious-based schools is unconstitutional. Separation of church and state. Public dollars should never go into a religious institution of any kind, including adoption agencies. That all adoption agencies should be non-religious for a lot of reasons. Because of policies like this. Yeah. Because you're using your opinion, which faith is opinion. It's a personal belief.
Yeah.
You have a deeply held belief in God. Well, whether it's Allah, God, Jesus, whatever, you have that deeply held deal, but it's a personal choice. Whereas if you use public policy, then now your personal choice is affecting public policy and other people. There's the harm. That's why we have a constitution.
Sure.
That's why we have a court system.
Well, speaking of the Constitution, so anyway, what we had decided we were going to do, but we're not going to do this moment, is I think I would like to start a Boycott Tennessee page. We'll probably do it later on today. I have my family, or our family, almost all of them now live in Tennessee.
Wow.
And we have 2 more members who still live in North Carolina. But the rest of them had just moved this last weekend to Tennessee, outside of Nashville, and I have vowed to not set foot in Tennessee as long as that law is into effect, which I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of grief about. But I know that our younger nephews will support me on that who live in Nashville, because why would I go to a state where people did not feel that I would be qualified to raise a child?
And the crazy thing is that Tennessee has a huge corporate base. FedEx is based out of Memphis.
So
you have
now that family may say thank you. We don't want you to come.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting many bites from Texas. My Texas family, but the thing is one of the great ways to protest or affect change peaceably is to use dollars, vote with your dollars.
And let me tell you, I really love that Cracker Barrel outside of Knoxville.
Knoxville.
I love it.
And
it's great.
And I love Memphis.
I like Nashville.
I
love Nashville.
I used to go to Memphis all the time when I lived in Missouri. It was only 5 hours away from where I live. Memphis.
Say, all right.
And
let's read. Not to cut you off, but we are like 3 minutes left because we start late.
Hold on. We're 3 minutes late.
All right.
I can
So go ahead.
What is it? I'm sorry. I'm lost.
We're on page 29. We're going to read Amendment 19.
Why?
Because this was ratified in 1920.
And it's the Women's March, and
it's the amendment that gave that opened up the vote to women.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. So it's very short. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So short and sweet.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Well, before we leave, I want y'all to think about at least 1 minute of silence for we had another shooting last night in Las Vegas at a mall.
Oh no.
Yes, there's several injured, and it seems like it's been going on periodically in every other state. We've had it San Antonio, Texas, in the San Antonio River this past Sunday at a bar. We've had
at the Riverwalk?
At the Riverwalk.
Oh wow.
We've had another one.
It actually wasn't on the Riverwalk.
It was. It said it was on the Riverwalk.
No, it was
by the Riverwalk.
No, it was on near Jones Street, which is nowhere near that.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess the reporters did
I'm
not.
from San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm from San Antonio too.
Yeah, I know it was down Jones Street. It was southeast San Antonio.
Okay, well, it was at a bar though.
Yeah, the shootings there are not unusual.
Yeah,
in
I
that part of
know,
town.
that's for sure. But I mean, this massive
For different reasons.
down in the Mall of Nevada. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
that
one
was
was terrible.
that one's really, really.
Well, they're all shootings
They're
are
all,
bad. Yeah,
I mean,
I
one,
mean,
two.
we have in this country, and speaking of women, is that we have 52 women a day
Yeah.
getting murdered by their romantic partners.
Well, not only that now, women
Yeah,
are also doing their things. Did you hear about the lady that this in Phoenix that killed her own kids? 22-year-old. So I mean, we gotta think about what's going on right now. How people are feeling desperate and doing things. This past Saturday, we had a 17-year-old out by Scaly Bar. Teenagers, you know, drug deals, gunshots.
And a lot of it comes back to harm reduction, which we had a show on,
Correct.
and taking mental health as serious as physical health.
On my way here, that's
they're
why
tied.
the reason I was a little bit late. I got a phone call. I don't know. I think I shared with y'all my youngest brother. He decided to get himself admitted again last night to mental health because he thinks that he needs it again.
Good for him.
So yeah, everyone has a challenge.
And people should support people going through mental health problems and take
All
the
I
same
can
way.
tell him is, okay, let me know when you're out.
Support people the same way that if a family member said, "I've got a brain tumor,"
Correct.
or "I'm going to do this," and
Yes.
take it seriously,
Taylor Swift's
and
mother
respect it. You know,
has a brain tumor.
Well,
that's really bad.
We need to get done here, but I want to thank my brother for. I won't tell you what he said because I'll tell you what he said later about San Antonio.
I love his sense of humor.
Especially with him living in Dallas.
Thank you, Philip.
Because your brother does live in Dallas, right?
Technically Plano, I think.
Hi, Philip.
Yeah.
Same difference. It's all muddled
It's right
together.
there.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Please attend the
Women's
trade
March.
try-on if you
Oh,
have
yeah,
a chance today. Also, the Women's March is this weekend, which we were supposed to talk about. Let's go around, tell us where you're going to be. Once again, all of these issues that we've talked about could be fixed with
Medicare for all.
So,
well, I'm going to be at two places. I'm going to be
except for Pandora.
At the Roe versus Wade commemoration till 1:30 today at Trade and Try On, and then I'll be at the Women's March this Saturday in the First Ward Park.
All right. If you have any kids at CMS, if you care about their future and education, there's a new superintendent, Mr. Winston, and he is having a conversation tomorrow night from 6 to 8 at the Charlotte Bilingual New School right there off of Central on East Charlotte. So come out there. There will be food, drinks. Manolo's Bakery will be doing the desserts. It's free, so just stop by. And don't forget, I'll see y'all at the Women's March.
Free fave.
So I'm going to be trying to politics as much as possible. There's some good theater coming up. There's Lady Day live at the Emerson.
Lady Gaga?
No,
Lady Day.
Lady Day.
Oh.
Billie Holiday. It's opening at the ATC this weekend. There's also a C.S. Lewis play uptown, which should be pretty interesting. I can't remember the name of it. And then I think there's also a production of Fences coming up with Artis Wilson. And so there's just a lot of stuff going on here at the end of
At the Oakland,
January.
Carolina also,
So
they're having good
again,
stuff.
try to avoid politics, stay off your screens, stop watching the impeachment hearings. It'll only poison you. So
I forgot, tonight, it's free at the Min Museum. Every Wednesday, leave it alive or something, drink wine, get to meet people. It's completely free admission. From 6 to 10, I think it is.
Which way?
Adults. Min Museum downtown, uptown.
Anyway, so thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Going together for some wine. We can just swing by there.
A little vino would be cute.
Yes.